Trey Gladney is today's guest. He is originally from Houston, so I identify a lot with Trey by saying the word y'all often. He takes pride in his deep integration into Minnesota, however, over the past 2 decades. Along with his wife and 3 children, happens to be my neighbor too, he has embraced the state of hockey as his own, immersing himself in its culture, communities, and yes, even its cold. And I can attest to having literally seen Trey go in and out of the neighborhood, constantly driving kids from one hockey game to another hockey game in the same day. With degrees from the University of Minnesota and Hamline School of Business, Trey's academic journey paved the way for a successful career in management consulting. For the last 15 years, he's been a leader in simplifying healthcare systems. His expertise in process improvement, technology implementation, and change management led him to work with many of the top consulting firms. Beyond his professional endeavors, Trey is dedicated to civic engagement. He chairs what we call here in Golden Valley the Peace Commission. I'll let you say what it is. Focusing on, well, there it is. It's right here in the notes. Police, employment, accountability, and community engagement. Additionally, he leads Prime, striving for racial equity and inclusion in Golden Valley. Despite his busy schedule, Trey finds solace in movement, whether cycling through Theodore Park or strolling along Golden Valley Road. He's always exploring and connecting with his surroundings, including with walking with his wife Georgette past my house on the way down to the park on a regular basis. In all aspects of his life, Trey is driven by a relentless pursuit of progress and a passion for positive change, aiming to create a more inclusive and equitable world for everyone. So please help me welcome Mr. Trey Gladney.
Yeah.
You can leave it up. Yeah, sure. Shep, thank you for the introduction, and thank you for activating me. I think my wife told me I was out of town one cold winter, and she said, the mayor knocked on our door. So he's looking for you. And I was like, what did I do? And he wanted to inform me about Prime. So I want to, again, thank Shep for activating me and getting involved with this community. I also want to thank Peggy for inviting me to the Rotary Club. Peggy called me one day and she said, hey, are you interested in doing this thing? And I said, of course, Peggy. I hung up the phone and I Googled, okay, what is the Rotary Club? So I'm glad to be here. I'll add some color to this. So as Shep said, I'm a Houstonian. I grew up in Houston. My first job was working with my father, washing cars. And, it's 100 degrees outside. And in those moments, I learned my core values around, work ethic and being honest. And I took those values to Minnesota with me and, attended both Hamline and the University of Minnesota. And I started my career journey at United Health Group. My first role at UHG was answering the phone, validating benefits for people that wanted to receive outpatient or inpatient services, and ultimately bounced around at UHG until I found a way within management consulting. And so for the last 10 or so years, I've worked with Accenture and PricewaterhouseCoopers on really 2 pieces of their business. One around their technology transformation, and the other around efficiencies within business operations. Like Shep said, I've got 3 kids, 2 live in the house right now. They are 16 and 10 years old. And a part of, as I begin to talk about Prime, a part of what activated me was the intersection between what was taking place in the environment around 2017, 2018 with the killings of Philando Castile, and my kids getting older and older. And, the more I looked at those 2 things coming ahead, I wanted to do something and be a part of the change. So I'm, again, glad to be here. Got a couple notes. I'll give you a little bit of background about Prime, We have a mission, and our mission is to promote racial equity and inclusion for the Black community within Golden Valley. Leveraging strategic partnerships with the City of Golden Valley to champion positive change in community and within the government. We promote for Black community, but we are an inclusive group. And in fact, a part of that inclusivity is required to actually effectuate change, right? And I want to commend Shep for his moments of bravery during some of the last 4 years, in it that oftentimes it's easy for minorities to talk about things that has happened to them, but it's not until you have someone that looks like Shep in which people will start to then hear it and act upon it. So again, another kudos to Shep. So how do we execute on our mission? So we execute on our mission a couple of ways. One of the ways, we try to be a strategic advisor to the City of Golden Valley as it relates to making sure that there's an active voice of diversity. It is not an official position, but we are a group in Golden Valley, and if there are issues that are going around the Black community, we'd like to be able to be a listening ear to the city as they make decisions. Another thing we try to do is we try to partner with the city to improve their equity plan. So the city's constantly looking for more ways to be more equitable, and so we'd like to be strategic partners with the city as they build out an equitable Golden Valley. Another thing that our group has been trying to work through is the equitable process within contracting. And so I was talking to Andy before we got here. A part of our group is focused on what's the process outside of the person in charge right now, right? Because if we have a process, an equitable process, the person that is in charge of that process doesn't really matter. And so one thing that we're looking at is the contracting process here in the City of Golden Valley. How are contracts equitably distributed amongst businesses? How are RFPs developed? And so what we are trying to advocate for right now is that contracting process is transparent, that it is an equitable process, and if there are educational gaps within getting access to those contracts, that the city does some education learning for individuals to be able to learn how to submit an RFP if they haven't submitted RFPs in the past. Give you a little bit of a background on Prime. So in 2017, Rose McGee, Joelle Allen, Rosalind Harmon, and Shep were sitting around their kitchen table, I believe. It's a kitchen table. I wasn't there. And they were talking about Golden Valley and what Golden Valley, did Golden Valley have an equitable plan, an equity plan? And a part of that discussion, there was a revelation that was like, I think the city probably can do more. And so discussions continued, and toward the first part of 2018, they said our little group of activators should be called Prime. And that Prime is standing for prioritizing race and inclusion for more equity. So this group would be the group that would then be the voice in the City of Golden Valley to champion equity. So this self-organized group was formed in 2018. We now had a name that we would then fold under, and we progressed forward. Joelle Allen, in 2018, developed an equity plan specifically tailored for the City of Golden Valley and shared that with the then Mayor, Shep Harris. Shep brought that equity plan to the City of Golden Valley, and the wheels started to turn within the city, and they started to take action on that equity plan. Part of the call outs and the actions within that equity plan was to have an individual within the city that would focus and prioritize on diversity, equity, and inclusion. And the city ultimately hired a diversity manager, and that was a diversity manager, the first diversity manager hired for the city of Golden Valley. And a part of their responsibilities would be to look at not just employment statistics, but also employment practices and equitable initiatives around the city of Golden Valley. In 2019, Prime joined together and started to advocate for more representation within City Hall. And Prime stood behind Councilman Maurice Harris and supported his campaign. He was ultimately elected into City Council for the City of Golden Valley. In 2020, Prime advocated for the hiring of, I told you about the diversity manager, but in 2020 and 2021, the city, Prime advocated for supporting and hiring the first chief of police, black chief of police. And the city now has Chief Green as the chief of police. And then in 2023, Prime stood behind Mayor Harmon as she became the first female black mayor for the city of Golden Valley. And so, what we've learned from a Prime perspective is our advocacy is really tailored and focused on making an impact in the community, using our voices. And so we've used our voices, over the last 8 or 9 years to effectuate positive, equitable change in the city of Golden Valley.
All right. Any questions?
Thank you.
Yeah, I have a question. How do you define equity in terms of contracting out jobs, or whatever programmer?
So I define, I'm not sure if I'm going to give you a spot-on answer, but I will tell you from discussions with the city manager what I think they're doing and what I think they're doing is an equitable approach. So today, there is an RFP process for contracting. An equitable approach in which the city of Golden Valley is proposing is an approach in which they will offer educational seminars to individuals that have not completed RFPs before. So they want to participate in the contracting process. They just don't know how to do it. And so I think what the city of Golden Valley is doing is an equitable approach in which they're saying, hey, if you haven't done this before, we will teach you how to do it, right? And then we will bring you in and assess you along the other contracts along the way. I think your hand.
So are you an organization that has a defined membership, and do you meet regularly, or do you just kind of come together when there's an issue that needs to be addressed?
So that's a great question. We are a self-organized group. So we're not an official nonprofit organization. We're a group of community members that have a common goal and objective. We do meet regularly. We try to meet regularly every month. And yes, we're always looking for new members, people that has different skills that we believe that the group could benefit from. So if you're interested in supporting, we would love to have the support of this community.
So I'm just curious, well, first of all, great job. It sounds like incredible progress that's been made since the start of this. I'm curious if you can share a little more about how, like in what ways can we as different Golden Valley businesses engage with Prime? So for instance, we can connect offline. I work at Jewish Family and Children's Service, a social service agency for people of all backgrounds. You know, we have staff of all different backgrounds, we have clients of all different backgrounds, volunteers, donors. So, like, in what ways, like, just thinking about opportunity, like what, I don't know, it's kind of a broad question, but like, what do you think are some ways that we as companies could look to Prime as a resource in the community? Or is it more Prime going out to places?
So I think it's twofold.
I know.
think,
I'm curious to learn more. It's fascinating. Like, we have a DEI staff committee, you know, so maybe there's opportunity.
Sure. So we're definitely an asset to businesses in this community.
Mm-hmm.
As businesses look to hire, as businesses look to look for perspectives, donation opportunities. We have a group of business, Black Golden Valley members that we have a network here in which we can partner closely with you to open up your Rolodex of individuals. If you need a more depth and breadth of Black Golden Valley members, we can inform you about that. But we can also guide you and support you on kind of the needs and feelings of what's taking place from a Black Golden Valley perspective.
And what's the best way to reach out? How would one connect with Prime?
I will leave my email address.
So reach out to you. You're the
You can reach out
awesome.
to me.
Yeah, thank you so much.
There's another question in here.
Yeah, I was just kind of curious, kind of piggybacking, dovetailing off of previous questions. Just kind of the organizational structure, you know, like, do you guys meet? Is there like, is there a way for just kind of an average, resident or community member to get involved, and what that would look like?
So I think it's a really good question. And the way I would classify our advocacy right now is, we advocate and go to the city of Golden Valley for equitable change, but we also try to be a voice in the community to let the community know that this is a place for everyone, and we've got assets and resources within our Prime group. And so, as Shep had mentioned last week, we have Prime representation at Golden Valley Pride, and a part of that tabling was just to let individuals know that, hey, if you live in this community, there's groups that look like you, there's groups that are thinking about you in a meaningful way to make a difference, not just from a community perspective, but from from a policy perspective as well. And so, you can join, whether it's attending a meeting on Friday at Shep House or my house, and just get to know some of your Black and supporters that are part of Prime.
Thank you.
Trey, I want to let people know a little bit more about how Prime influenced the creation of the DEI Commission and the Peace Commission, and what those, you could speak more to the Peace Commission than DEI, but you could probably speak to, you know enough about DEI as well, but how Prime helped those get started. So,
and Shep, you're the resident expert on all of these topics, but so I'll start with peace. So if I also chair a commission in the city of Golden Valley called Peace, which is around police employment and accountability and community engagement. And that Peace Commission is a commission, official commission within the city of Golden Valley. And that commission is laser focused on, again, police employment and community engagement. Prime, this group here that I'm talking on behalf, is a self-organized group. That self-organized group went to the city of Golden Valley advocating for representation, advocating for equity. But a part of that advocacy, the city agreed with Prime and said, we do need a commission that is focused on diversity and inclusion. And so that commission ultimately got formed within the city of Golden Valley. So now there is a diversity and inclusion commission, within the city of Golden Valley. And that commission is working on diversity initiatives and inclusion initiatives within the city of Golden Valley.
Could you want to talk more about the Peace Commission, what you guys are working on?
Sure. So, so the Peace Commission, again, we are laser focused on police employment. Some of what we're working on right now are around appropriate response. So our big initiatives around appropriate response. And we're really juiced up around appropriate response because we feel as if by looking at the data, let's say call data that comes in through 911, we are able to understand what type of needs the community is asking about. So when you call 911, what does the demand call for? And so what our commission has been looking at is the data around that call volume to say, how do we build an appropriate response model to fit the needs of the community? So if we are getting call volume into the city that is around medical support, around disturbances in the parks, then we need to have the appropriate response to go and deal with those types of situations. And so that's what we are interested in right now. The Peace Commission is really broken up into 3 subcommittees. We have a data subcommittee, and again, our data subcommittee, they all work together, right? Our data subcommittee is looking at, all types of police data, right? Stop data to say if there are anomalies within police stop records. It's looking at employment data, what our hiring practices are within the city, and it's looking at call data, right? What does the need? I'm putting you to sleep as I go. Call data. And then also we have a commission that's focused on community engagement. Our community engagement subcommittee is looking at trying to get the voice of the community. And so the commission is a representation of the community, but oftentimes we don't want to make decisions as a community in a room by ourselves. So what that subcommittee likes to do is go to the community and try to get the voice of the customer, if you will, from the community. And so we've got a community engagement subcommittee. And then the third subcommittee, that the Peace Commission has is hiring and retention. And so a part of what we have been looking at is how do we make sure we hire the right police officers? How do we make sure that there are retention incentives in place that we can keep our police officers here? And so that's some of what the Peace Commission is working on. It's a lot of fun stuff. I think we've got space on that commission if anyone is interested.
Trey, did I just see something recently on social media from the city that there was a mental health officer that was hired?
A social worker or
Oh,
something?
yes.
Maybe.
Maybe that was it. I just tried to look it up on Facebook, but I can't get it.
Mental health investigators, what they used to have, do they still have that? The Cloven Valley Police? Or do you know about that mental health investigator?
I am not entirely sure on the hiring of
Okay.
recent, but I will tell you that that type of capability that the city now has in the social worker, I think it's moving in the right direction because if a call comes in for someone that is struggling with substance abuse, we've got Damascus Way in the city of Golden Valley. So there are a number of scenarios in which someone could be dealing with a mental health issue, and to make sure that we are bringing someone that has the skills to handle that call is super important, right? And so we'd like to make sure that, if the city did make that hire, I think it's a positive thing.
Thank you so much.
Yeah.